Hi there. Welcome to our presentation on maps and navigation and using that both on your smartphone and on your computer. For today's presentation, we will be showcasing what maps and navigation could look like using a computer, and then I will talk briefly about how that will look differently on your smartphone. So I'm going to share my screen here so that we can take a look at um, some tips and tricks about using Google Maps and some general information. And then we'll actually get to explore the Google Maps website. So what is it? Google Maps is a web-based map service providing accurate directions. Now you can use this for driving, which is probably what most people would use it for. But also you have the option to use it while walking or using public transportation and also biking. So there are different options available, and it will accommodate based on that. Meaning, if you choose to use the car, it will calculate how long it will take you using a vehicle. And then it will also calculate the differences if you were walking to your destination. There are some satellites that pretty much capture where you're at so that when you're using your GPS on the go, it'll in real time update where you are. So for example, when you were approaching a road that you were supposed to turn on, it will count down, the number of miles and down to feet away, how far you are from the turn. So it'll give you an accurate representation of when to turn or where to go. If you are using it to get instructions before you head somewhere, they will let you know about how long it will take, and it will give you specific instructions on how to get there. And I will show you that in just a couple of minutes. So you can use Google Maps or any other GPS service from your computer or on your smart device. So unfortunately, if you have a flip phone, that currently will not have this option. But there is a free app that you can download on your smart device for both Android devices and Apple devices. You can enter your desired destination, which could be a specific address, or you can search for a general location, and that could be a restaurant, a gas station, or a popular place to visit. So if you end up using your computer before you go somewhere to plan out how to get somewhere, you will have to put in your point of departure. And if you're using your smartphone, it will automatically detect where you are. And then when you choose your mode of transportation, you can see on the screen here where it has different symbols. So this could mean for your car, for public transportation like a bus, walking or biking. And in this example, you can see where it would start and where you would end. And after plugging in that information, it will give you the different options on how to get there. So let's take a look at an example of that. So I'm here. All you have to do is pull up whatever web browser that you use. Could be Google Chrome or Safari, whatever it might be. And you can search for Google Maps. That is a very popular web-based service for GPS instructions. So first I'm going to search for where I want to go. And I'm going to type in our Bowling Green, our Wood County Senior Center's address, which is 140 South Grove Street. Even just typing it in here, you will notice that it automatically pops up with some options. So I don't even have to type in the entire address. You can take a look and it will assume possibly where you're trying to go. So if I click on that, it will find that location. And actually on my right-hand side, you can see a map of Bowling Green. And this red dot here tells me where on the map I'm going to. I can see that it's off of Grove Street and it's pretty close to Wooster Street. So this is just an aerial view of a map. But if you wanted specific instructions, this is where you would do that. On the left-hand side, you would click on directions. And this is where I would choose a starting point. So what I will do is I will start this from our Walbridge Area Senior Center, our Northeast Area Senior Center. And their address is 705 North Main Street here. Okay, so here we go. As soon as I started typing in Walbridge, it did come up at 7005 North Main Street in Walbridge, Ohio. If I click on that, now it's going to find my point of departure. And I'm getting an aerial view automatically of the map to get from our Walbridge location and then our Wood County Senior Center location. You'll notice that there's this blue line, and that's indicating that it's the most efficient route to get to that senior center. But there are other options. And actually, if you look at these fine details here, this one right here is the 29 minutes. It's less than 24 miles. However, Google Maps decides to filter this, they determine what is the most efficient or straightforward route. But there are a couple of different ways that you can go. On the left-hand side, you will notice that there are a few different options here. Now, if you wanted to, you knew that you wanted to go on a 795 route, but you just didn't know exactly how you were going to get there, you could choose this route. But the first route is deemed as the best route due to traffic conditions. If I did in fact want to use this first option, I can tap on it and it will give me step-by-step instructions based on where I start. So it will tell me how long I'll be on a certain road, when to turn left and right, and it gives me an estimated time of how long it will take to get there. Now, if I want to print this out, I can do that. There's a symbol right here indicating a printer. And if I click on that, I have two options. You could print including the map, which is something similar to what we see on the screen. Or if I only wanted texting or written instructions, I could choose that. So how about we choose this option? And then once I decide to print, and if you have a printer, it will print what we see on this screen, which is all of these written instructions and how long you'll be on each road. And so that will be great information to have. Now, if you have a smart device and you're planning on using the GPS on your smartphone, when you plug in that destination and you choose that first route using I-75, it will give you in real time verbal instructions on how to get there. So it uses your location based on the satellites to let you know when to turn. And it's important to have, either somebody else in the car doing the navigation or having it safely propped up so that you don't have to finagle with your phone. But having the verbal instructions can be very helpful. And so this is a good thing to use. I recommend if you are doing it for the first time, maybe have somebody else drive and you can navigate it using your phone's GPS. You can get used to it. Unfortunately, with the way that we were recording this, I can't show you what that will look like on a phone, but I encourage you to take the time before you use it to get to know the app and familiarize yourself with the different options. Now, here, there's also a great way of navigating a new place that you may have never traveled before. So let's say you're traveling in Columbus, Ohio, and you want to know where there are restaurants near you. Let's pretend that this is our phone. And, whatever we had planned on doing in Columbus, we are given time to find a place to eat. You could type in simply restaurants near me, And what it will do based on your location, it will bring up different restaurants that you can travel to. But for this, because we are in Bowling Green, when I type in restaurants near me, it should pull up Bowling Green's different options. But wherever you are, like I said, if you're in Columbus, if you're in Petoskey, Michigan, if you're in whatever town, if you type in as if you were going to write in an address, if you were to type in restaurants near me, it will take your location and it will do a search for you automatically for restaurants. So for instance, here you can see there's a lot of symbols on my screen here. But if you look closely, there is a symbol of a fork and a knife, and that indicates that those are restaurants. On the left-hand side is a list of them. And you'll notice here there's Sambia's Restaurant, Kermit's, Pizzanello's Pizza, Everyday People Cafe. And if something sounded good to you, like you thought, oh, Pizzanello's Pizza, Italian sounds really good to me, I could choose that and basically find directions from where I'm at to this location. If I wanted to, I could, look at their reviews. I could look at their website and check out the types of things that are on their menu. Right now, we are using Google, and Google is a search engine. So you can use Google in so many different ways. It's convenient because if you search for something like a restaurant, you can easily get directions to that place. So if I choose to go to Pizzanello's Pizza, if I'm in my car, it will automatically know where I'm at. But let's say I'm coming from Walbridge, like we did before. And if I choose this, let's say, yep, it's going to take me 29 minutes to get there. And I can either get these written instructions printed out, or I can get that automatically going on my GPS. So this is great. If you're traveling somewhere new and you want to look for a new restaurant, this is an option for you. Now, there is another great feature. Maybe you're not a traveler, but let's say that you had, when you were a kid, you lived in a certain house and you remember that address. Or let's say you knew of, like, for example, I did this program a little bit ago and someone had mentioned that they were in a military family. And he used this to be able to look at the houses that are currently there right now. And he was able to see the houses that he grew up in. Let's do this. We're going to put an address in here. This is also the case for businesses. If they have an updated picture on Google, I can see what it looks like. This is very handy for if you're going somewhere new, or if, like I said, you're looking at maybe a house you grew up in. Right here, I typed in our old senior center address because they still have the picture of our building on there, which has since been mostly demolished. But I can tap on the screen here and get a street view of my destination. So right here, I can actually manipulate the screen to look on the street all around my destination. So I can see that there's a laundromat across the street, different buildings here, but this is a street view of my location. Now, let's say I want to go down the street. I can manipulate my screen to go on the side of the building. Maybe I had never been here and I wanted to see what the parking situation was going to be like, or where the entrances were. This gives me the flexibility to check that out before I go to a location. You can do the same thing for residential addresses, which is really neat. And then you can also use the screen to manipulate and go down the whole neighborhood. Now, here's a fun fact for you. You may wonder how they get these pictures of everything that's available on Google Maps. So there are vehicles that Google employees will drive around. On top of the vehicle is a 360-degree camera. And what these people will do is drive around, and these cameras will capture everything around them. And then that information is used for this specific situation. So in right here, we notice that this was recorded in May of 2019. All right, so I know that this building is not here as of July 1st, 2022, but it will, whenever the next round of updated pictures come through, it will not be there anymore. The same goes for our current Wood County Senior Center in Bowling Green. If I navigate through downtown, in May of 2019, we did not have our building, so it will not be in this view. So if you find that maybe you're looking for an old house that you used to live in and it's not there anymore, it may or may not be on Google Maps, depending on when it was updated. So for example, my neighborhood, my Google view hasn't been updated since 2017. So it's been over 5 years since they've updated it, and my yard looks very different. There used to be a tree there, and since 2017, it has fallen down. So there is no tree currently, but on the view on Google Maps, you would see it. So this is very handy, and you can also use this to your advantage when going ahead somewhere and wanting to know what the situation was like, or to look for landmarks around town. There are also some functions that you can use. I use this example in a different presentation, but let's say you're going to a Toledo Mud Hens game and you were parking downtown, but obviously you have to navigate different parking lots, possibly a couple blocks away. You can use this app to basically put a pin in the map where you parked. And when it's time to leave the game, you can choose to get navigation to your parking spot and use this app to navigate by walking. That's really helpful for families who are busy taking care of kids, or if you don't want to pay attention to exactly where you parked, this will allow you to know exactly where you did park and get walking directions back. Another great feature of this, especially for those that have smartphones. If you were heading somewhere, maybe you're heading there during a rush hour, you can use Google Maps to know an updated traffic report. It is pretty accurate, and if there's construction or an accident, it will indicate to you on that map how long it will take you because of that traffic. It will also take into account possible other routes that you can take to get there, which is really great if you're exploring someplace new. So this was a situation that had happened to me. I was traveling in central Ohio. We were going hiking, and there must have been an accident on the interstate. And my GPS had notified me verbally that they found a faster route that would cut my time down by 10 minutes. And I was able to choose to go that route and avoid the accident on the highway. So you can use this to your benefit, even if you know where you're going, but possibly there's traffic. You can get a different route already mapped out for you using the GPS. If you have an Apple device, like an iPhone, they do have a different GPS program, which is just called Maps. But here today, you were looking at a presentation focusing on Google Maps, which is the default GPS for Android devices. Either one is great. They're both comparable, so it doesn't matter which one you choose. they both do all of these same functions. So I hope you learned something in this presentation. I encourage you to explore the app, like I said, Maps or Google Maps, and get to know it a little bit and use it for traveling, or like I said, going back to maybe your childhood home. And I hope you have a great day ahead. Thank you.